Up to now, we've been working with this low resolution preview, so it's now time to actually render out an image. To do that, we first need to make sure that our settings are correct. So if we go over into the properties panel, if we click on this little camera icon here, this is where we have all the settings for our render engine. At the moment, this is set to the EEVEE render engine, which is a real-time rendering engine, which is why we're able to see our rendered image in the viewport so quickly. Now we can enable a few extra features within this panel here. So if we turn on screen space reflections, you'll see that actually gives us a much nicer result where all of the objects are interacting with each other and light's bouncing off them a little bit better. We also have some other effects that we can enable. Ambient occlusion will add sharper contact shadows underneath things, which helps to ground things a little bit more. We can also add a bloom effect if we want to around lights. I'm going to leave that off for now. And before we render out our finished image, we need to go to our output settings. So this little printer icon, if we click on that, we can set the resolution of our final image. This is currently set to 1920 by 1080, and we'll leave it at that. We have a frame rate setting for our animation. 24 frames per second is the default, and we're going to leave that. And then this output area defines where we'll save out our animation files when we render them. But for now, we don't need to worry about that. Instead, to render out an image, we simply go up to the render menu at the top, and we can click render image, or we can hit F12. When we do that, this render result window opens up, and we can see our final render. Now, if we want to save this image onto our hard drive, we can go up to the image menu, and we can click save as. We can then choose a folder to save things into. We can add a new folder if we want to. I'm just going to call this images. And we have our output settings on the side here. So we can save it as a different format. PNG is fine. We can change its color depth and whether it's an RGB image or an RGB image with an alpha channel. At the moment, because we're not saving this with a transparent background, then an RGB image is absolutely fine. Down at the bottom, we'll set a name for it. I'm just going to call this test render 1 and save it out.